What's up, guys? Craig Mack here, Liberty Bell Beekeepers, and beautiful Northeast Philadelphia. I'm up here in the dark on the roof today with the colonies, some of them at least. As you might be able to see here, they're all buttoned up for the winter. Got all my covers on, mouse guards, insulation, all that good stuff. Now, I'm treatment free, so I haven't given them any additional sugar since since it started getting cold. I did feed sugar syrup at the end of the season just to bolster some extra stores that the bees hadn't had the chance to get a hold of. I didn't harvest any honey this year, so the bees have had everything that they've collected for the whole season. But the real reason I'm here today is to show my new toy. This here is a thermal imager. This is a CC thermal imager. It's one of the cheapest ones that you can get. It retails on Amazon for somewhere around at like 180, 190 bucks, something like that. And most of the ones, there's a bunch in that price range, and they're all basically the same thing. 4 buttons, 2.5-inch screen. It's got a trigger for capturing pictures. It can be tethered to your laptop, or I imagine your cell phone, or whatever you want it to upload and download pictures. Or I'm sorry, not upload, but can download pictures. It has an SD card and can do all that. There's the Amtrak. So basically what I was just going to show everybody was how this thing works and what are my first impressions of it, having it for only a couple of days so far. Now, I got this unit mostly for when I do cutouts next year. But I was also curious about seeing how it worked here in the winter time to kind of get an idea of where my hives are at. Which colonies are alive, which ones are dead, so on and so forth. So here it is. So now this has got, like I said, got 4 buttons on it, which you may or may not be able to see depending on which way I stand. Power button, couple of scroll buttons, and a mode button. On the display, it shows you a minimum and a maximum temperature, the time, and the general temperature outside, your power, and your memory. So if you were to press this arrow on the right, I don't know how all the rest of them work, but I'm assuming it's all pretty similar. This here, as you press it, you'll notice the color change. It's basically an overlay. It overlays the thermal picture over top of the normal camera picture. So basically what I'm shooting at now is a building across the tracks, and you'll see it's picking up and doing some readings. If we look up into the sky, you'll see it really kind of goes to the over the minimum maximum, because it just can't, I guess, read into nothing so as well as it does reading a surface. Most surfaces will emit some kind of radiant heat if there's any available. So we're going to kind of go ahead and take a look. Now, I'm over here right here you can see this is the hatch I use with my dumbwaiter system that's closed up for the season. And we can take a look at our camera. Now, I have this on the first overlay setting, meaning that I can see in this screen, which you probably can't see on the camera, I can see a vague picture of what I'm shooting at. The further you go in intensity, the more it'll just show you the radiant heat. So I got it on the low setting so I can kind of see what I'm looking at. But to get back, as you can see, I'm pointed at my roof. It's pretty dark for the most part. And as I kind of pan over here to the hatch, you can see that it clearly shows you the the difference in temperature. Now, it doesn't give you an exact temperature as to what it's reading. It just shows you the difference between this surface and the surfaces around it. So if you're looking for one of these things to give you an exact temperature of the inside of your hive or your inside of your colony, you're not going to get it from this. Like I said, this is a lower end model. It shows you just basically the temperature difference, and that's what I was looking for, because if some of you have done cutouts, you'll know when you get into them, you might find an entrance somewhere and have no idea where the colony actually is in the wall, or if it's in the wall or in a roof, or if it's buried and they just found a deeper cavity inside of that entrance hole. So now what I'm going to do is just kind of show you how this thing works for one of my colonies. Here I have a 5-frame nuke with 2 medium supers on it, which is kind of difficult to see unless I get up into the light. But we'll take a look at the thermal imager, and I'm just going to kind of pan over and show you the colony. Now, like I said, this is not meant to show you really the temperature, at least I don't think it is, but it will show you the difference in temperature. Now, as I move a little bit closer to this colony, you can see the top is the real blue, and it's cold. It's basically reading as the outside temperature. Now, as I go down to the hive bodies and the supers, you can see the supers are still a bit chilly. Now, this does have a little delay in its reading, and will show you it will show you at a hot spot that's really not there while it's reading the new spot. It does take a minute. It doesn't just instantaneously read a difference in temperature. It reads and has to process that. So as you can see, as we kind of scroll down and get down into the body of the box and let it sit there a moment, you can definitely see the difference in the temperature of this colony. Once again, it's not going to show you every detail. It's not going to show you every little bee inside. It's really just going to show you the difference in the temperature. Now I'm going to move around to the front of the colony here, which might be kind of difficult to see, and I probably should have turned on my light, but anyway, we'll get down into the front of this colony. Once again, I'm up at the top of the box. You see the blue, that's the lid. And then as we scroll down here, you can vaguely see the outline of the box. Maybe, I'm not quite sure. I'm still new at this thing. I'm still kind of figuring out how best to use it and decide whether or not I'm going to keep it. This unit also has an LED light. If you hit the left side, see, there you go. Now you can see the box. Now you can see the boxes and the supers. Now, when I go down, I'm going to point this thing basically right at the entrance of my colony, and you probably can see the box on the screen now that I have the LED up, and I'm going to increase the opacity of the thermal imaging. Now you can see that entrance. You can see that it's reading the heat at the entrance. Now I'm running wide open entrances, no reducers. I want to get good ventilation in there, but you can see on this imager, I think you can see on this imager, we've got like a Night Rider look going on right there. That's the entrance to my colony. So there's definitely a lot of heat going on in there. Certainly much different than the external temperature. Some people are freaking out about having no entrance reducers, and it seems that that's like everything in beekeeping, a matter of contention. Some people want that entrance closed up. Other people like it wide open. I'm trying it all wide open to see what happens. So far, so good. We had a nice cold spell down in the 20s the last several nights. And it seems to be doing just fine. The bees were out flying yesterday during the day when it was up in that 40s and the 50s. And you can see here in kind of a broader picture, once again, that blue is the lid. And you can see that all those boxes have a definite temperature difference from the outside. There's the second box next to it, if you can see that. Once again, that blue dot, that's the lid. And watch, I'm going to change my intensity even more. And then that's back to 0. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back to no thermal imaging. So far so good with this thing. I mean, like I said, I didn't truly intend to purchase it for this reason. But it is kind of cool to have and to kind of keep an eye out on your colonies throughout the winter. You can kind of get an idea of who's doing okay and who's struggling. And I'm kind of curious to see how this works in a cutout situation, because like I said, that's what I initially bought it for. Now this has a bunch of other settings to it as well, but I haven't learned everything about what they all do. It's a pretty basic machine, not a whole lot to it to really have to learn about, but there's a couple of settings I'm not exactly familiar with. Different surfaces call for different settings, and I'm still learning about that. But you can definitely see the intensity difference. Now you can also change that color scheme. If you hit your mode button, you can go down and change your color scheme of how it shows you heat. Some people like the black and white, which is kind of neat because it'll show you the light. The white is the heat, the darkness is not. So right here, you might be able to see that the 4 dark like blotches, those are the lids above the insulation. Everything below that is all like the hive bodies and the super. So it seems like they're doing a pretty decent job of keeping things warm. So far so good. Pretty nifty little gadget. I might end up using this for my day job in construction as well, for certain times where it's called for checking for air leaks or any kind of other thermal variations with insulation and such. But I thought it was kind of cool. Wanted to check it out at night and kind of show you guys the difference and let you know, like, hey, this is not gonna show you every detail inside the colonies, and let you know that, you know, there's 10,000 bees as opposed to 50,000 bees. It's not gonna give you a detailed picture like that, but it is gonna show you the difference between a colony that's alive and heating itself and a colony that is not. Once again, that dark blue is the lid, and below it is the hive bodies and the supers. So pretty neat gadget. I'm kind of happy with it so far. We'll see how it goes, and I'm really looking forward to the spring to see what it does and what it can do in a cutout situation with kind of finding colonies and walls. A lot of people use these things. They can range everywhere from right around that $180 to $200 mark, and I saw some up into the $1,000 range. So I'm not looking to spend $1,000. I was a little hesitant to spend the $200, but I came across a little bit extra cash, and I figured, hey, let's give it a shot. So there it is. The CC SEESII, I believe, is the name of it. Thermal imager. Pretty cool. If you're interested, you can also get these. There's some versions that clip right onto your cell phone. I was asked about why I didn't get one of those. For me, I have a love-hate relationship with these cell phones. I get disgusted with them sometimes and want to just be rid of it. And a lot of times when I'm doing cutouts, if you've never done one, they can be very messy, especially if they're in an awkward location or up high, or depending on the time of the year you get them, they could have a boatload of honey in there, and it can get very messy. So I try to avoid leaving having my cell phone out for, like I said, any number of reasons. But that was it. 15 minutes I think is plenty of time to show you how this thing works. We'll power it off. It has a delay. You can shut it off and let it shut itself off after a few minutes and kind of go from there. So I hope that was helpful and informative. Like I said, I'm still learning about this machine, and I'm sure there's plenty of you that have them already and know more and might know more. And just another video, some more content to put on my YouTube channel, and a little bit of fun looking at the bees when you can't see the bees. So thanks for checking it out. Appreciate it. Enjoy your fall, and happy Thanksgiving. It'll be here around the corner. Have a good night, guys. Bye.